Dear learners, today's MOOC will be on Module 9, Unit 30, Community Organization in Tribal Social System and Vulnerable Communities. Learning Objectives. After going through this unit, you will be able to explain the characteristics of tribal social system. Number 2, understand the tribal governance system. And number 3, explore the concept of schedule areas. Introduction. In this unit, let us understand the tribal social system and its governance. Article 46 of India's Constitution states, the state shall promote with special care the educational and economic interest of the weaker section of the people, and in particular of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. There are, however, tribes which are not scheduled tribes and are generally weaker sections of India's population, like scheduled castes. The tribes are backward, particularly in regard to education and economic standing. They were exploited in the past and even today by dominant section of Indian society, namely Hindu landlords, moneylenders and industrialists who purchase their land to establish industries in tribal areas. The large tribes of India are Gonds of Chhattisgarh, the Bhils of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, and Santals of Jharkhand, Orissa, West Bengal. The Gonds and Bhils are more than 4 million each. The Santals are more than 3 million. B.K. Roy Burman, 1972, divides tribal communities into 5 territorial groupings, taking into account their historical, ethnic and socio-cultural relations. These are Northeast India, comprising Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Tripura. Next, the sub-Himalayan region of North and Northwest India, comprising hill districts of Uttar Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh. Next, Central and East India, comprising West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. And South India, comprising Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. Next, Western India, comprising Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Tribes in India differ from one another in racial traits, language, social organization, cultural patterns, etc. The dominant racial type among tribes in the post-Australide in the sub-Himalayan belt, the Mongoloid type is preponderant. The Mediterranean and the Negrito are found in other regions. Tribal language belong to all types, the Austric, the Dravidian and the Tibeto-Chinese. Some tribes have been assimilated into Hindu fold like Phumji and Bhils. Some have been attracted by Christianity. The main occupation of the tribes are or were forestry and food gathering, shifting cultivation, settled agriculture, agricultural labor, animal husbandry and household industry. Community organization in tribal social system. While there are broad similarities in the social organization of various tribal groups, the differences are also quite significant. Stratification along sex, age, locality, clan and phratry is common to all. Totemism is some form exists amongst all. Belief in the supernatural and power of magic is also recurrent theme. The clan organization provides rules for exogamy. While the tribe is spread in a number of villages, it constitutes one community in the sense that it remains an endogamous group. Where a tribal group becomes part of the wider rural society, it assumes the character of a caste. Like the tribe, a caste is also endogamous. But what distinguishes it from the tribe is the fact that caste is a unit of a system composed of different endogamous groups. The tribal social organization does not generally have endogamous unit as subgroups, but the group as a whole is an intermarrying entity. Most of the tribal communities in India have dormitories, to train their youth in matters of sexual union, cooperative endeavor, and community life. These dormitories may be separate for the two sexes or common. Young unmarried boys and girls gather here together for evening dance and entertainment and to sleep. Among Bhutias of Himalayan hills, the dormitory is called Rangbang, and young girls entertain their boyfriends with drinks. The Naga dormitory called Morang is only for boys. The Memis have the Ikinsi for boys and Iloisi for girls. The Garo dormitory is called Nokpant. The Orans have Thumkuria. The Jankurumba, the Pundel, and the Bondo, the Selandingo, the Ho, and Mundo, the Gitoria. Tribal India has both patriarchal and matriarchal family structures. The matriarchal societies are the Khasi, Garo of northeast India, and Kadar, Irula, and Palyan of south. Among Khasis, it is daughters who run the family, and the husband is only Yukhangsa, meaning producer of children, having no rights over property of wife's family. Among the Garo, the sons-in-law come to reside with the family of their wives and separate living arrangements are made for them. However, the youngest daughter continues to live with her mother. Among patrilineal tribes, there is prevalence of polygyny, men having more than one wife. But there are also subgroups who practice polyandry, women having more than one wife. Among the Khasa, these husbands are brothers like Pandavas, but among Todas, they may not be related at all. Where husbands are brothers, it is called fraternal polyandry. Needless to say that with the spread of education and contact with the outside world, many of these practices have been given up. Tribal social system and governance. A political system is a system of politics and government. It is usually compared to the legal system, economic system, cultural system, and other social system. However, this is a very simplified view of a much more complex system of categories involving the question of who should have authority and what the government's influence on its people and economy should be. Politics in these traditional Indian tribal communities was based on two principles. The wise should rule and all members of the group except slaves and women should participate in ruling. In a spirit of partnership and consultation, in a sense, the practice of such politics is based on the principles of equality and popular participation. However, the democratic content of these systems could not and should not be judged by different standards of societies, including those viewed as more advanced. G. Simew argues that it is elusive to attempt to prove that democracy existed in this society before coming of colonialism. He claims there was a mixture of rudiments of democratic tendencies and practices on one hand and aristocratic, autocratic and militaristic practices and tendencies, with varying degrees of despotism on the other. Many tribal societies who were introduced to Western democratic systems by outside forces were organized under traditional institutions and adhered to norms other than the ones professed and often practiced Western liberal democracy. The remnants of traditional values, particularly values like kin protection, continued to influence their social and political attitudes and behavior. The new democratic values introduced by the Western societies, including those of individual rights, the rule of law, equality before the law, and other liberal democratic values, affect the traditional institutions and values. Northeast India region, comprising the Indian states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura, are inhabited by 294 communities, of which 156 communities are recognized by the Constitution of India as scheduled tribes. Evidence of persistence in following traditional values is found in these tribal societies. Hence, balancing of what traditional institutions and methods of governance with that of democratic institution is an important balancing act. It is important to realize that scholars have ignored the fact that most of the communities inhabiting the 7 states are new to the system of governance introduced by the Constitution of India as adopted in 1950. Many communities of Northeast India have been demanding constitutional recognition of their traditional institutions, which is in the contemporary sense are not democratic, because in most cases women are not permitted to participate and certain public offices are restricted to certain clans of particular tribes. The principles of individual liberty, the rule of law, and the expectation of competitive politics come directly in the conflict with traditional values of tribal life, implying group assertion, kin protection, and collective effort. Relevance of traditional tribal values and conflict with values of modern democracies become obvious in such instances. The customary laws and systems of justice of the tribal people are well structured and documented. Now let's discuss the historical background of Autonomous District Council in Northeast India. Autonomy, that is self-government administrative system for backward population and remote hill areas, are in Indian Union with the concept of British administrative structure. There are several autonomous regions of India to which central government has given varying degrees of autonomy within state legislature. The establishment and the function of this autonomous council is based on the 6th schedule of the Constitution of India. The very purpose of creating district council was to protect the tribal people with their cultural heritage as well as their socio-economic life and living. The autonomous regions in Assam are Bodoland Territorial Council, Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, and North Kasar Hills Autonomous District Council. Some of the states of India has its own autonomous district council. The land and the people of Northeast India came into contact with the British administration in the last decade of 18th century. It was Lord Cornwallis who sent Captain Wells as a British representative to Brahmaputra Valley in 1792, and Treaty of Yandubu was signed and executed on 24 February 1824. There was the Anglo-Burmese conflict and expulsion of Burmese from Valley by Govindo Chandra in 1826. Subsequently to this, the major tribes of Northeast India came into contact with British rule. NC Hills, which was dominated by Angami Nagas, annexed with Nagaon district in 1829. NC Hills was taken over by the British in 1854. The Naga Hill district was constituted in 1867. Thereafter, Luhai Hills came into control of British in 1889. In 1847, the Scheduled District Act covering the whole of Assam province was enforced in 1880. Frontier Tract Regulation Act enforced in Assam. This is basically aiming for the management of local administration, exempting application of certain acts of British government in Assam province. This province, reaffirmed through Government of India Act 1915, Section 71 of this Act. On the declaration of backward tract on January 3, 1921, the following hill districts came into being: Garo Hills District, Khasi and Jayantia Hills, Mihir Hills, NC Hills, and Lukhai Hills. The landmark steps originating Autonomous District Council came into force through Government of India Bill 1934. Thereafter, the Government of India Act 1935 has implemented on 3rd March 1936 under Section 92 of Government of India Act 1935. The whole Assam province was classified in two distinctive administrative areas. Part 1, excluded areas: Northeast Frontier, Hodia, Balipara, Lakhimpur, Naga Hill, and Lukhai Hills. Part 2, partially excluded area: NC Hills, Garo Hills, Mikir Hills, and Khasi and Jayantia Hills. On the eve of India's independence, reorganization of tribal areas in Assam province has been carefully considered by another committee, popularly known as Bordoloi Committee, and recommendation of the committee declared on 24th January 1947. In 1964, Khasi Hills District Council and Jayantia Hills District Council were separated into two district councils. In 1972, under the Government of India Act, Governor of Manipur empowered constitution of not more than 6 district council in Manipur state. However, out of 12 district council altogether, there are only 9 district council including TTAADC of Tripura state under the provision of 6th schedule of the constitution now in existence. The TTAADC in Tripura state was initially set up in 1982 according to TTAADC Act 1979 under the provision of 7th schedule only. TTAADC has, however, elevated a full-fledged district council under the provision of 6th schedule of the constitution. Now let's see schedule areas, community organization with vulnerable communities. Definition. The term schedule areas has been defined in Indian constitution as such areas as the President may by order declare to be schedule areas. Paragraph 6 of the 5th schedule of the constitution prescribes following procedure for scheduling, rescheduling and alteration of schedule areas. According to Indian constitution, number 1, the expression schedule areas means such areas as the President may by order declare to be schedule areas. Number 2, the President may at time by order A. direct that the whole or any specified part of a schedule area shall cease to be a schedule area or a part of such an area. B. Increase the area of any schedule area in a state after consultation with governor of that state. C. Alter, but only by way of rectification of boundaries any schedule areas. D. On any alteration of the boundaries of a state on the admission into the union or the establishment of a new state, declare any territory not previously included in any state to be or to form part of a schedule area. Number E. Rescind in relation to any state of states any order or orders made under this paragraph and in consultation with the governor of the state concerned make fresh orders redefining the areas which are to be schedule areas. Thank you.